Hi, and happy Sunday, everybody. This is Heather Coleman, intuitive medium, spiritual coach, Reiki and energy work practitioner, and yogi. Here we are. I just had to, I don't know why the screen always does this. I have to scroll so I can see that we're still live. But so happy Sunday, everybody. And isn't it nice how up here in the Northeast it's really beginning to feel like spring. I wanted to say thank you so much, so much to everyone who was a part of our Angel Circle last night, this past Saturday. Our theme was Signs from Deceased, and that was maybe one of my favorite circles ever. I loved the themes that we had. We had so many members who are so connected to their deceased on the other side. And honestly, I think we had 2 members, maybe it was 3, who had husbands on the other side, and their love just warmed my heart because it reminded me of the strong connection that I've been able to keep with my deceased dad. He passed away 20 years ago this year, and our relationship has actually grown stronger, believe it or not. And I really feel that this message that came through during the circle is a great message to share with all of you, whether you're on live over Facebook, the replay, maybe you're on YouTube, wherever it is. This message really touched me, and I hope it means something for you too. When we can wrap our human minds as well as our superconscious minds around the notion that there's no death of the soul. I almost said depth, so the soul does have a deep depth to it. It's hard to measure the depth of the soul. But what I really meant to say was there's no death of the soul. There is a death of the body. And so if we can really process the fact that when our deceased loved ones cross over out of their body, it's kind of like they've moved to another country. They're not gone. They simply no longer have a physical form, and they may not be able to necessarily communicate strongly through the 5 senses we use, but they communicate in so many ways. And so our relationship with our relatives when they die doesn't go away. It just undergoes a radical transformation. I don't know about you, but when I just sit here and say to myself, you know something, when people die, the relationship doesn't die, it just undergoes a radical transformation. I feel like an ease happening in my lower abdomen. It's like I can literally feel tension melting out of my body because let's face it, losing people is hard. And when we can stand in that place of faith and just know that our deceased family members, loved ones, friends are indeed right there in a state of bliss. They're in paradise and they're still connecting with us. And we can learn the skills and the tools to understand them better. How beautiful is that? And so it's this circle for me just reaffirmed why I do this work. So thank you so much to everyone who was part of that circle, Angel Circle. So guys, couple of other things. Our next circle, which will be up soon on the website, will be June 24th, which, speaking of my amazing dad, who's on the other side, it was his birthday. So he would have been, if he was still with us, he would have been 74. So 20 years. Anyway, so we're going to have the next circle June 24th, my dad's birthday. It's going to be 6:00 p.m. It's a Saturday. And so what I'm doing right here is I'm getting ready to select the tarot cards for this week. And if you're on live or the replay, say hi, drop me a comment. And I wanted to tell all of you a little bit more about my process when I select cards. This is just my way. With most of my tarot decks, I keep them sorted by suit. There's only one deck in which I don't. I've used it before on Fireside. It's the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa DeCourt. It's just a very bouncy deck. I keep it all mixed up. But other than that, I have, at least 4 tarot decks. It's probably more. All the others, I keep them suited by suit, and there are 5 suits. So, we have Major Arcana, all right? And then we've got fire or energy or wands. I think it's called, sometimes called wands, fire in this deck. So we've got major arcana, we've got energy, wands, fire, we've got earth, we've got air or the mind, and then our final suit is water. Since we're doing 3 cards tonight, I'm going to put back the suit of water because I can already feel, and this is part of my process, when I have this in my hand, I can just feel that there's not a whole lot of energy flowing between my hands and the card. And what that tells me is that there doesn't seem to be a card in there that is perfect for tonight. Now, it could be different tomorrow or next week, but for tonight, when I picked up the suit of air, immediately I felt a real warmth. So there's at least 1 card in here. Now, what I'm doing, I have this so that I can't see them. I'm just passing my hand over for where I feel the most heat, and I felt it right here in this clump of cards. And so I'm going to continue to do that until I know where I'm feeling the most heat. And this is actually going to be card number 1. Card number 1. So I'm showing it to you right now. Card number 1. The deck that I'm using is the Angel Tarot card deck by Radleigh Valentine. This is an older copy of it, which is why the co-author is on here. However, that's changed, and today Radleigh Valentine is considered to be the sole author of this deck. So that's the deck that we're using. It's still one of my favorites. I just feel like it stands the test of time. So card number 1, and I'm going to tell you what suit, the suit of air, the mind, the intellect, right here, card number 1, from our Angel Tarot deck. Now, the second card I'm going to select is from the suit of earth. And that's because I felt the warmest feeling both when I put my hand near that pile of cards and when I looked at it. So, and what I'm sensing is that the card right on top is the right one. So here is card number 2 from the suit of earth. And then next, we're actually, it's funny that so much was coming up about the suit of fire or wands, because that's going to be our next. And again, the card that's on top of the pile is going to be the one. And I'm not going to show it to you yet, but I'm going to point out an amazing synchronicity. The numeric value of that card is the same as the earth card. So how about that for card number 3? And both of those cards just happen to be lying on top. And I don't even remember the last time I drew from this deck, so it wasn't something I was even consciously aware of doing. And then what I am going to do, I'm picking up the major arcana just to see if there are any jumpers, and there are. There was one that just kind of jogged a little loose when I picked this up. And so the jumper card will happen at the end of Fireside. So I'm going to show you all the cards one more time to give you a chance to feel into where you might be drawn. Now, it's completely normal to be drawn to just one card and not feel much with the others. It's also normal and common to be drawn strongly to one card and maybe a little bit to another. It's also common to have this feeling that all 3 cards carry something for you. So just notice what you feel. Now, what you feel, for me and many people I work with, it's a warm feeling around the gut. And then a lighting up, like I'll sort of feel as if the card is lighting up when I see it. For you, there could be other signs that one or more of these cards is speaking to you in some way. So just notice what you feel, sense when I hold these cards up one more time. And feel free to share in the comments if you're so inclined which card or cards you're drawn to. So one more time, we've got card number 1. We've then got card number 2 and card number 3. And while I'm giving you a little bit longer just to kind of let that percolate, just a couple things I want to share. Keep tuning in for the Learn videos. They drop every Monday over YouTube and Facebook. So we'll have a new one coming out tomorrow morning. And if you have suggestions for topics you'd want to get deeper into during those Learn videos, please share them with me. And we're going to have more yoga videos coming up in the near future based on your wonderful suggestions, more meditations as well. So I am so excited about all of that. All right, now, so let's get into the cards one more time for people who might be wondering. We've got the Angel Tarot deck by Radleigh Valentine. Card number 1, which is from the suit of air, again, the mind, the intellect. This week, we've got the king, and court cards, more often than not, represent you or someone in your life. So when I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the King of Air, If there is no one that you know in your work or personal life or maybe hobbies, if there's no one you know that this would describe, then this card would be encouraging you to try to call on these qualities within yourself. So as I read this to you, if you don't think this is describing anyone that you already know, then this card would be encouraging you to see these qualities in yourself and bring them out and develop those qualities. So for our King of Air, this card says brilliant, impartial, professional, and diplomatic. And the angels are really highlighting that word diplomatic this week. So diplomatic, as far as how this word is being used this week, would really be describing someone who is able to look at and understand multiple points of view, including their own. Being impartial would imply, of course, being a bit detached emotionally. Detachment is very good, but that isn't calling on you to be so detached that you ignore your own feelings or thoughts on a subject, but rather that diplomacy that this is talking about right now is the ability to sort of sit in a place, maybe a meeting or a conversation, or maybe you're watching something that really you have strong thoughts about, and you developing or noticing your own ability to say, this is where I see this is how I feel about it, and I can also recognize that this person is feeling this way, and this other person is looking at this whole thing from this perspective. Being able to see multiple perspectives at the same time, including your own. And if this is something, when I say this, if this is something you're sitting there going, maybe I've never given much thought to this, then what that tells you, if you're drawn to card number 1 this week, is that this is the time to start saying, okay, let me give some thought to this, and let's start working on this skill, because it's really going to serve you well in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. So developing these skills is going to serve you to help get you to your best path, your most successful, happiest, etc., more peaceful relationships, and so on. And so a little bit more about this card. If you're drawn to card number one, some action steps that are on this card. Speak your mind with confidence. Seek out professional advice if you're dealing with a situation in which maybe you don't know. Maybe it's brand new. Maybe you don't have all the skills yet. So don't hesitate to seek out someone who can advise or counsel you. Balance mental and emotional considerations. And I love that that comes up, because that really goes along hand in hand with this diplomatic or diplomat approach of when being able to balance the mental and the emotional is being able to balance your own thoughts and feelings as you're in a situation with other people. So that message is coming up again. And just looking at this picture, the angels are drawing my attention to how bright the unicorns are. And so what that's really saying this week is that this is a darker colored deck. The energy is not dark in terms of scary or evil, but just the hues and the colors tend to be dark on this deck. But look how bright the unicorns are. And so this king who is riding a horse, he's learning to listen and consider the thoughts and feelings of all of these horses, and he's mastering that leadership. And the payoff is the brightness, the light, and the magic that is coming from that. I mean, these unicorns just glow. So many benefits. That light and that glow is going to spill out from those unicorns and help the entire forest. So as you learn to develop those diplomatic skills, become more of a diplomat in your own life, that's going to have a ripple effect. You're going to be happier. You're going to feel better. The people around you are going to be better. And that's just going to have a ripple effect to everyone affected by this, the people that they know. So it's such a powerful approach to take to life. So I love that message, the King of Air, card number 1. Before we get to card number 2, the jewelry that I use is always intuitively, divinely guided. And so if you're on the search for the perfect stone, or you need a new stone or a piece of jewelry, fluorite. Let me hold that up so it's easier to see. And just keep in mind, this could be a bracelet for you, but maybe you, look for a tumbled stone or a larger stone. But this is fluorite. Notice it comes in different colors that range between pale blue to teal aqua and deep to medium purple. That's all fluorite. And then this is actually watermelon jasper. Watermelon jasper. Sometimes I wear this with my strawberry quartz, but not tonight. These two go really well together, actually, on the same wrist. And then the necklaces, in fact, this here, this isn't a certain stone that I'm going to be talking about, but this actually was a necklace that belonged to my wonderful deceased grandma Dolores. And whenever I wear her beautiful jewelry, I feel so connected to her, especially necklaces, because you wear them around the heart. And then finally, this is aquamarine, my birthstone. And I do feel that for anyone, wearing your birthstone is super powerful. The biggest thing with this necklace is that this is a strong aquamarine, and it gives us this sort of relaxed, gentle current of water, this sort of energy, but it's also a strong color. So this is great for setting gentle boundaries, this type of aquamarine. Great. So what I'm going to do now for our cards number 2 and 3, here's 2 and here's 3, because I was so drawn to the same number, I'm going to show them to you together. They're both 9s. Cool, cool, cool. And I have been noticing this has been happening more often lately for myself and for readings that I give, where we will have a number card that will often pop up in more than one suit in tarot. And what that tells us is that what I notice when this happens is that the person, whoever that card or cards is for, is finishing a certain chapter or successfully completing a phase in life and about to enter another. When we're talking about life phases or life chapters, you can have more than one chapter going on at once, such as a person could be in a great job, keeping that job and moving halfway across the country. So keep in mind that if that person is keeping their wonderful job but moving far, they're leaving one chapter, which is living in the old place. They're moving, but the chapter isn't ending with their job if that person is keeping their job and maybe telecommuting. So just keep in mind that when you're closing a chapter in your life, you may not be closing all chapters. So that is actually, in fact, what's represented in the 9s that we've got in cards 2 and 3. So if you're drawn to both of these, that is, in fact, your message is when we've got the 9s across 2 suits, it means that you have found personal satisfaction in more than one way in your life. Let's get further into card number 2, the 9 of Earth. This is one of my favorite cards to draw, in fact, because when this card comes up, it's telling us that we either right now or in the near future are going to find that we have plenty of money. Like we've got enough to pay our bills and then to have those little luxuries, maybe a weekend trip or maybe a nice dinner out, maybe go get your hair done, something that you can spend a little extra on. This card, if you've been considering becoming self-employed or you're already self-employed and you're asking yourself whether you should take the next step or steps, the message right here is successful self-employment. So when this card comes out upright, which it is this week, this is a very good message in regard to self-employment. In fact, when I first started my business and said I was seriously in business as a psychic medium, this is the card that I kept drawing, and it was the angel's way and my deceased dad, his way as well, of saying, yes, do it. This is the best and highest, happiest, right path for you. So again, if you are drawn strongly to card number 2, you've been considering self-employment, this is a huge yes. If you're drawn strongly to card number 2, you've been thinking about taking those next steps with self-employment, this is also a very strong yes. Finally, if you're self-employed and things have been a little slow, this would also be your card to say, keep going, don't let this scare you, don't let this throw you off track, you're on the right track. Finally, let's get to card number 3, the 9 of Fire. Another card that I love, and it's interesting because this has not come up in a while, but part of that message is going to overlap. It says, don't give up. Don't give up. Have courage and believe in yourself. So we'd have more of that message of keep trusting that you're on the right track, that you're making the right decisions, and that the decisions you've made in the past were indeed the right ones. Things may get rough, but that doesn't mean that things are doomed to fail. Now, also, like, especially for those of you that are only drawn to card number 3, I also really like this card because, particularly when this card is reversed, which we have a bit of both. We have a bit of both meanings, some upright and some reversal meaning. This card, when it is reversed, will be often a way of your guides saying to you, your spirit guides, saying to you, maybe you don't need to fight so hard. You know, maybe you can sort of put your shield down, lay down your sword for a little bit and breathe. Maybe you don't have to be constantly fighting and waiting for that next battle. So I think at least some of our card number 3 people this week, if your life has been a real difficult, winding battlefield for a long time, this card, and this is for the people that are really only drawn to this card. Those of you that were drawn to other cards, you may not resonate with this, but those of you that are drawn to only this card, you may feel as if you always have to be on high alert, and the angels are saying you don't need to be on high alert anymore. You can rest, you can relax. The hardest part is over. You're not going to constantly be attacked, so try to trust in that. So let's put that card aside, and then let's have a look at the jumper that came out. One of my favorite cards, and before we get to this card, I just a moment ago shared with you that the 9 of Earth, when that comes up for me, it's often for me, and for people I read for, a way of saying, hey, you're on the right track with your employment decisions, whether that's self-employment or the job that you've chosen, and don't give up. This card as well, when it's upright, well, we'll talk about reversal in a moment, but reversal is still really good, but especially when the sun is upright, which it is this week. It is. Actually, let's get to reversal really quick. The worst thing that happens when this card is reversed, which it is not anyway, but if it was, the only thing we'd be looking at is that it may take a little longer for the sun to come out in your life. But this week, this card is upright, so yay, something to celebrate. And this coming up in the same week that we've got the 9 of Earth is incredible, because those two cards together, and this is considered the amplification card, so if you were drawn at all to card number 2, this is also for you. This is the amplification card, and the message that I often have to deliver with this card is the sun is coming out tomorrow. The sun is coming out big time for you. So, you know, again, when we think of the cards that are basically saying, guess what, you're winning, this is going to be your time, you know, when we look at the 9 of Earth, success, happiness, having enough, having a little more than enough. And then the sun, you know, happy outcomes, brilliant new ideas that lead to success, and confidence. And finally, Archangel Uriel, who is one of my favorite archangels, like my 3rd favorite actually. He's our psychologist angel. He is the one to help you heal yourself from traumas, you name it, betrayal issues, if you've been betrayed, abandonment issues, all of that. He is the one to help you. Often we are able to see the sun coming out in our own lives when we are successfully able to work through those emotional bruises that we can be carrying around for quite some time. So I love that message. So again, the sun is a positive card. Super, super positive card, and I'm thrilled that it came up this week. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me here. I hope to see you in the next video. We will have Fireside with Spirit every Sunday, 9 o'clock p.m., live over Facebook. The video is always going to be up on YouTube afterward, guys. And thank you once again so much for being here. Namaste.